Moving to the Oregon coast and looking for the most affordable towns? Well, the numbers can be a little misleading. I'm going to tell you why in this video. Stay tuned to learn more. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Clem with the Home Team Brokers coming to you from the Oregon coast. If this is your first time to the channel living on the Oregon coast, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. We talk to people all the time who are relocating to Oregon, want to get out to the coast. We love to help with that process. So if that's you, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click the link down below in the description of the video and schedule a Zoom call with us. Either way, we would love to help with your move to the Oregon coast. All right, so we've recently talked about the most expensive towns on the Oregon coast. Let's now talk about the most affordable towns on the Oregon coast. And what we're looking at is the median sale price. So this number in and of itself can be a little bit misleading because, you know, it doesn't really tell the whole story in terms of what you get for your dollar and, you know, what the town is like, what the area is like, and overall, you know, what the amenities of a particular town are. So if we're judging this solely based off the sale price, we can look at the most affordable towns and we can look at the overall desirability, the amenities that are offered, and whether or not these are places that just solely based on affordability you would want to be looking for your home search. This list is really diverse geographically, really diverse as far as the size of the town, really diverse as far as which of these areas attract a lot of tourism and which don't attract too much tourism. And so number one on this list is Newport, which is a little bit surprising. Newport is generally considered to be the capital city of the Oregon coast. It's situated in Lincoln County, right about smack in the middle of the Oregon coast. Newport is a huge tourist town. You have the Oregon Coast Aquarium, you have Rogue Brewing, you have some incredible beaches. Nye Beach in particular, a really big tourist destination with tons of great restaurants, shopping, and a lot of fun things to do. Newport comes in at a median sale price of $435,000, and that's a little bit of a head scratcher to me. There's a lot of nicer, larger homes that are going to be $800,000, $900,000, over $1 million. These are generally going to be larger homes. A lot of them have ocean or water views. I think maybe, at least in part, this has to do with a decent amount of condos in the area, which obviously condos are going to be less expensive on average, although they're going to be much smaller, so the price per square foot is going to be higher than average as well. But in terms of things that people ask us about, like healthcare, general amenities overall, like grocery shopping and infrastructure to kind of have and support the things that you would need in your day-to-day life, you know, high-speed internet, for example. These are things that a lot of people ask us about, and Newport checks all of these boxes. It's a beautiful area. It has a ton to do. It has a lot to offer. So coming in at $435,000, I think if you're looking for kind of the quintessential idyllic Oregon coast experience and some relative affordability in your home search, I think Newport is a place that should definitely be considered. All right, next on the list is Tillamook. So Tillamook, along with a lot of other towns that you'll see on this list, is not a coastal town necessarily. You're just a few miles from the ocean. You can get out to Netarts and Oceanside, some of the most incredible views and beaches on the Oregon coast, and really kind of a hidden gem in a lot of ways. But Tillamook itself is in this huge valley, so it's an agricultural dairy farm area that doesn't itself get a lot of like overnight tourism. It gets a ton of traffic for the Tillamook cheese factory. or the Tillamook Creamery, which probably brings in thousands of people every weekend, in particular over the summer. But Tillamook comes in at $430,000 median sale price. You do get, I think, more modest homes overall, as far as a lot of single level ranches, not a ton of huge homes. You do get a lot of old historic homes, which is really cool. But your sight line, in this area, when you're right in Tillamook, it's really pretty flat. So your horizon is going to be more river valley, and then off in the distance you see some elevation to the west. You get up and over that elevation, you get to the coast or to the beach. If you look east, you see the coastal range. So you do get some really beautiful, epic views, but it's not right there in front of you. Again, you have this valley where you have the Wilson River, you have the Trask River, the Tillamook River, the Kilchis River, all of these rivers flowing into the Tillamook Bay. And that is one thing that is unique about Tillamook, is you do have the bay, which is enormous. It's beautiful. The views there are incredible. But if you're in, right there kind of in town in Tillamook, you're not necessarily looking out and seeing the bay. You have to drive, even if it's a few minutes, to get to the highway, to drive along the bay. But it's not necessarily like most of the properties in Tillamook are, waterfront, bayfront necessarily. So definitely a little bit of a unique makeup as far as the overall environment that you're in Tillamook. But if you are looking to be on that northern Oregon coast, if you're looking for some relative affordability, Tillamook is a great spot to land. All right, next on the list is Florence, one of the areas that we get asked about the most. Florence is a great area as far as what it offers. It has so much to do, especially in the way of outdoor activities: hiking, boating, biking, fishing, crabbing, stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, all of those things. And in particular, you have the sand dunes there, so ATVing, dune buggies, all of that stuff. It brings in a lot of people that like some of those more extreme sports, in particular what the dunes allow for there. But again, along with Tillamook, you're not set right on the beach. So of course this is a coastal town, but you're set on the Siuslaw River. You have to get a little bit north of town into the Heceta Beach area, and really that's the only place that feels in town where you have beach access. But one of the most sought after, one of the most popular neighborhoods with a lot of people that we talk to is this Heceta Beach area, which is really well connected to town. It's really close to town, but you're just north of Florence, and you have larger lots, you have a lot of single level ranches. So it has a lot of the dynamics that in particular a lot of folks in an older age demographic are looking for. We see a lot of people moving to this area who are relocating, moving here full time to retire. And Florence has a good mix of everything that you would need. All right, next on the list is Port Orford, $420,000 median sale price. Port Orford is a pretty small town. I think it's about 800 people. I think the beaches there aren't as vast. So, kind of regular tourism and beachgoers, not as much of a popular place or destination for that in particular, but it has some of the most beautiful coastline on the Oregon coast, really that whole southern third of the coast. But especially once you start getting into Port Orford and then down into Gold Beach and Brookings, just sweeping epic views, ton of cliffs, beautiful beaches as well. Some of the most photographed areas on the Oregon coast overall. But Port Orford's a small town. It's really pretty isolated. You have Bandon and then up into Coos Bay to the north, and then Gold Beach and Brookings to the south, but you're pretty far away in either direction from those other population centers. So it's pretty isolated. It's a small town. It does feel like a coastal town, but it doesn't necessarily have that true beach town feel in some ways. But it is beautiful, and if you're looking for more privacy, a place that's a little more quiet, Port Orford could be a good place to look. All right, next on the list is Bay City, and Bay City is really connected to Tillamook just to the north, right on the bay. Bay City is a little sneaky because you can get some water views in this area. The town is set right on the bayfront, and so it's a smaller town. It doesn't have necessarily as much to offer in the way of, some of these amenities that larger towns have to offer, but you're 5 minutes from Tillamook, so it's really a bedroom community or neighborhood of Tillamook in a lot of ways. There's 2,200 people that live there, so it's not the tiniest town on the coast. It does feel a little bit like it's a little bit of a pass through if you're going from Tillamook up to Rockaway Beach. You just kind of pass through Bay City. I don't know if as many people stay there like for weekend trips or week-long trips, but if you're looking for a place to live full-time that's a little quieter, that doesn't have that, you know, that much tourism compared to other places on the northern Oregon coast, again, you're right there on the water as well. So if those are some dynamics that you're looking for, Bay City could be a good place to keep on the radar. All right, next on the list is Coos Bay and North Bend. These are two separate towns, but really blend into each other. So we always kind of talk about them as one area or one town. This is another area that isn't right on the beach, and it really is geographically removed. And when you're in the area, you can feel how removed it is from the beach and from the ocean. Even though you're very close, you can get out to some amazing beaches, you know, from Coos Bay out through Charleston down the Cape Arago Highway there. But Coos Bay, North Bend, you're on the bay, and that in and of itself has some incredible views. I mean, Coos Bay is enormous. It offers some of the most beautiful views along the Oregon coast, but a larger town, or in this case, two towns, but you're looking at about 25,000 people in this area. So by far the largest area population-wise on the Oregon coast. A lot of people ask us about things they read online as far as like crime, even homelessness and drug use for this area. And you may have heard us make this point in other videos, but I think that is a little bit overstated. I think there is a higher volume of those issues per capita. And when you're looking at a larger town, it feels like a pretty big problem, but I don't think it's something where you have to worry about your safety in your day-to-day life. I think it's just like any other town or any other place in the country. You know, there are these, you know, real life human issues that exist there, but it's not like the area has completely tanked or gone downhill or anything like that. And honestly, this is one of the most beautiful places along the Oregon coast. Being a bigger town, it has a ton of infrastructure, you know, that a lot of people are looking for. A lot of people want to move to the Oregon coast, but they don't want to be in a town of just a few thousand people. And some of the towns that have closer to 8, 9, 10,000 people are really big tourist hubs, and that's something that a lot of people relocating to the Oregon coast full-time want to avoid as well. I mean, Coos Bay, North Bend, this area does get its share of tourism. Highway 101 runs right along through there, so whether it's people coming through, stopping for the day, or people going there on vacation for the weekend for a week, something like that, you definitely get some of that. But it's so much larger than some of these other areas on the Oregon coast that there is a lot more people that are there full-time and part of the community. And that's something that really stands out to me compared to other towns on the Oregon coast, is you have perhaps a little more normalcy when compared to just your regular old small town, compared to a town like Newport, like we talked about, that is just funneling people in left and right all the time that are there on vacation. So on one hand, you do get some of the issues that come with being a larger town. On the other hand, you have a lot of variety, you have some relative affordability as far as the housing market, and there's just more to do. There's more options across the board. There's more to go out and see than a lot of other towns on the Oregon coast. All right, number 2 on the list is Reedport, coming in at $385,000 median sale price. Reedport historically for me has been more or less just kind of a drive-through town, coming in from I-5, going down to Coos Bay, where I've done a lot of business in the past decade, spent a lot of time in the Coos Bay, North Bend area. Reedport seems to be a place that has a lot of full-time residents as well. I think you probably do get some tourism, but it's not necessarily a place that has a ton of beachfront condos and a ton of Airbnbs and a ton of little restaurants and coffee shops and bars and breweries that are catered to tourism. You don't see that as much. Another thing about Reedport is you're actually on the Umpqua River, so you're very close to the beach. You can get out to the beach, like out to Winchester Bay in that area, very quickly, but it is removed from the coastline a bit, so it's not a true beach town like a lot of these towns that are on this list. So surprise, surprise, being beachfront automatically adds a lot of value. Being removed from the beach reduces value. So that doesn't necessarily reflect the quality and kind of what you can get in a town overall, but beachfront, oceanfront, beach view, ocean view, those are things that people pay a premium for. So in the video where we talked about the towns that are the most expensive on the Oregon coast, definitely a commonality was that beachfront element. A lot of these towns we're talking about now, again, albeit very close to rivers, lakes, and of course the ocean and beaches, just aren't quite there. So Reedport is the chainsaw carving capital of Oregon. I think it's considered to be the gateway to the dunes. So you have this national dunes area, you know, kind of along this central to southern central Oregon coast area, a ton of sand dunes, very popular. I think that is definitely part of the culture in Reedport, really from Florence down through Lakeside into North Bend. Ton of sand dunes. A lot of people get out there, they camp, stay in their RV, you know, bring their ATVs, bring their dune buggies, that sort of thing. So that's probably a big part of the culture there in Reedport. And again, I think if you are leaning toward a place that just doesn't get all that tourism traffic, day to day, people staying the weekend, that sort of thing, Reedport might be a good place to be looking, especially when you look at the median sale price of $385,000. Okay, last and finally on this list is Garibaldi. So Garibaldi is also on the Tillamook Bay. It's right in between Bay City and Rockaway Beach. So it's on the north side of the Tillamook Bay, but you know, you get some of those elements that you get in Bay City where, you know, you probably do have some tourism and vacationers, a lot of people just passing through, so the traffic along the highway can get a little bit backed up probably, but it's right there on the bay, and you have some, you know, slight elevation change going up, you know, through town. So you have homes that are perched up above town a little bit and above the bay, so you do get some bay views, you do get some water views, which that's something that so many people are looking for. The town itself, about 675,000 people, so very, very small town, but you are close to Rockaway Beach to the north, which has a little more of that tourism element, and of course Tillamook to the south, which is a larger town, about 5,000 people. So, you know, that's considered to be larger to mid-sized for the Oregon coast. So they're gonna have your grocery stores and restaurants and things to do like that, some of your day-to-day amenities that you would want and need. So it's not really all that isolated, but it is quieter, more private. It is more laid back than even a town like maybe Bay City that has a couple thousand people, or Rockaway Beach that has a couple thousand people. You're right in between those areas, so you do have things to do, different towns and a lot of people around you, but right there in Garibaldi is going to be, again, just a little more laid back and a little more private. So looking at these towns, we're looking at, you know, you're not on the beach, you're not going to walk to the beach, but you might be able to get some water views. You're still going to be really close to water, whether it be a bay or a river or a lake. You do have a lot of these elements that draw people to the Oregon coast, and in a lot of these towns you are nearby some of the more popular, more sought after, and, you know, higher priced areas as well. So there's not an enormous sacrifice necessarily. If budget is really the top of the list as far as what's guiding your search, these are definitely areas that I think should be in contention, or at least worth consideration. I think another thing probably in most of these areas is you're not going to see as much development going on, you're not going to see as much new construction going on. You're going to get some older homes on average across the board. That means you're going to maybe inherit some deferred maintenance. So, you know, the elements that we've talked about that may make these areas a little bit lower in terms of the median sale price, I think the other end of that too is there might not be as many homes in these areas that are nicer, newer, larger, etc. But, you know, we talk to a lot of people that say, hey, I don't care if we have to buy a place that needs a little bit of work or is even a fixer-upper. And I think with these areas too, if you can get into a property that does need some work and you're able to put a little bit of that sweat equity and a little bit of money into it over 3 to 5 years, I think you're going to see pretty good upside from the investment standpoint, because in all of these areas, a house that is, you know, nicely updated, remodeled, and has a little bit of work put into it, that, again, that's going to be instant equity add, and it's still going to, you know, there's still going to be a market for that. So at some point, if you go to decide to sell in the future, I think there is opportunity in these towns to buy relatively low but realize maybe a little more upside than in some of these higher priced areas that are, you know, really starting to push up against the ceiling a little bit. If you are thinking about making a move to the Oregon coast, if you want to talk more about these towns or any other towns that we talk about, you got to give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or click the link down below in the description of the video and schedule a Zoom call with us. Either way, we would love to help with your move to the Oregon coast. And if this video was helpful, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video. Really appreciate you watching. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.